Hey everybody, Skizzers here. I had a question from a really good friend of mine. Um, we were over at his mother's house, and she had 13 60-foot pine trees. So he asked me and my other buddy to come down, help him cut these down. So of course I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So spent this past Sunday doing that, and he had a lot of questions about my axes. Right now I have two that I use regularly, and one of the biggest questions is if you have a $200 axe and a $60 axe, why do you use the $200 axe to abuse and you take care of your $60 axe? And it kind of got me thinking. As far as the $200 axe, it is this one here. This is the Gransfors Bruks Scandinavian. Still has the stock sheath on it. And as far as I'm concerned, the forging isn't bad. Now, this axe is 2 years old, and a lot of the scale's been worn away on this. It holds an edge pretty well, but I beat the living hell out of this thing. Like, I just don't care about it. As you can see, I knocked the handle loose. I pounded as many wedges as I could fit to tighten that up. I even broke the wooden wedge. You can see the gaps. I just don't care. I mean, it's nothing to put a handle on these, especially if you go with Gransfors Bruks. You know, their handles are pretty much, you take them out of the box and put them on. They fit very well from past experience. The axe that they were questioning that was $60. Let me get it real quick. Is this one here. This is a council tool boy's axe. I literally got this recently, you know, and I put my touches on the handle, of course. You know, the grain pattern sucks. It's vertical, or horizontal, I mean. It runs this way. The eye centered, pretty much dead nuts. I think this was factory made, though. Unlike the Gransfors, these are, well, they're made in a factory with machinery, but there's a guy that runs each axe head through, which most of you know. As you can see with this one, somebody must have slipped when they were grinding it. Happened on both sides. And the reason I go back to this one and just don't care about it is because, I'm trying to put this the light way, these axes are junk. Gransfors Bruks, anybody that knows anything about historical axes, antique axes, at one time Gransfors Bruks was a budget axe. You know, that's why they were handmade. You know, they couldn't afford the machinery like Council Tool to keep improving their axes. They stuck with the same pattern for 100 years. Now, not to say a 100-year-old pattern isn't a bad thing, you know. Made on 100-year-old machines. I mean, the machines are running, it puts out a good product. Hey, keep making it. But the difference is this $60 axe is 1060 steel. This is the Council Tool Sport Utility line. So it's an in-between. It's not their cheapest line, and it's not their most expensive. They do have lines comparable with Gransfors Bruks. They're beautiful axes, but if you plan on using them, Sport Utility line's perfect. You can fix anything on that head. If you put a huge gouge in it, who cares? You know, it's like the Gransfors. These are handmade. You get gouges, you don't even notice it because the whole axe is stamped like garbage. You know, it just all gives it character. But if you buy that nice polished head and it gets gouged, I mean, that ain't the way it came. But I'm not trying to show a lot of hate towards Gransfors Bruks. I just don't see the $200 mark, when at one time this was one of the cheapest axes on the market, you know. And the only reason I have this one is because I wanted to see what all the hype was about, you know. I've always been a huge fan of Council Tool, always. You know, they make axes for the United States Forest Service. So obviously they have to be good and hold up to all kinds of abuse. You know, they get guys out of high school, they're hiring on, that probably never even swung an axe, and it's like, oh, here you go, here's this one, you know. And it's like, they're designed not to fail. Like, even this handle, everybody talks about wood grain. Look at this one. Look at the Gransfors. Gransfors is, in my opinion, pretty damn good. But this one here, I haven't had an issue with it. You know, I mean, I did just get it recently, but I beat the hell out of these, you know. And when it comes to, like, cutting through a hard piece of wood, like, these trees were big, you know, and of course we were using chainsaws. We don't stand out there and cut them with axes, of course, but it's like, the one tree dropped on a piece of aluminum sheeting off a shed, and I got my saw down to the end of it, and it's like, I'm not going to screw up my saw, you know. So I grabbed this and I'm hacking away, and I took a chip out of the blade, of course. You know, I hit the aluminum, and honestly, the profile of this blade is so thin, aluminum shouldn't have chipped it. And I don't call it a failure point of the axe, I just call it a design defect. Aluminum shouldn't cut an axe, you know, well, chip an axe. You know, and I was just cutting out the last probably half-inch hinge on that log, and it hit the aluminum. And I know if it was this one, $60, it wouldn't have probably done anything to it. I don't know if you guys can see. There's the Gransfors edge. There's the Collins. See how the Gransfors is a much finer edge? These are both shaved sharp. I guarantee it. I got proof right there. But Gransfors is just definitely overrated. I really don't care if what happens to this axe. Honestly, if I find somebody in need, I'll probably just give it to them. It's a nice wall hanger, and it's just not up to par. I treat it like it's a $30 Collins from Ace Hardware. You know, I actually take more pride in this. I let my buddies use both of these. And they both said the same thing. They like the Council tool better. It chops better. And I don't even want to say it's the weight. This axe is, hold on, let's find out the weight right now. Now I'm gonna ask you guys to trust me on these weights. This weighs in at 2 pounds 12 ounces for the Gransfors. This weighs in at 3 pounds 3 ounces. Now, that is a little bit considerable weight difference. But it's not that big of a weight difference, you know. And they were both cutting the same trees. You know, nothing changed. But I just don't understand the $200 price tag. I really don't. This axe performs most jobs 10 times better than this one. Hands down. I haven't had quality issues with this, but I know Collins has had quality issues. And they have probably one of the worst customer services. I haven't had to deal with them, because honestly, if I got one with a bad handle, unless the head just straight up failed, I don't care about little defects and stuff like that. But if this had delaminated, I would have definitely not waste time calling it. When I ordered this one, I ordered this factory direct from Council Tool. They called me and they asked me what my handle preference was. And I said, honestly, I don't care. Like, they actually called me up after I ordered it. Now, I ordered it over the phone. I actually talked to somebody when I ordered it. And the only thing I asked them is I wanted an exceptional bit. And this one was perfect. There's, like, it's almost polished, but you could see the grind in it, you know? There's really, other than when they were grinding it, which that doesn't bother me, there is not one defect in the bit of this axe. But they actually, over the handle, called me. And I could have told them, yeah, I want the one with the perfect bit and perfect handle, and I'm not going to make somebody dig through 100 axes looking for the perfect one. I use my tools. If they fucking break, I'll fix them. Where this company, you may not know what you're getting, and there's videos out on the internet. There's some axes, and there's hardcore guys into these, and they're like nitpicking every little thing about this axe, you know? Like, even my handle, I consider that an exceptional handle. A lot of guys can bitch about that. Like, I'm not talking about anybody out there, but there's a guy out there with a huge YouTube channel, And honestly, that's where I learned about these, you know. And all I heard was how good these axes are, and they're the only axe. These things are a piece of shit. Like, if this thing broke tomorrow, I just wouldn't care. I'd feel more bad about the $60 axe breaking than I would this $200 one. And don't take me as a snob. I'm a poor bastard, you know. Like I said, I'm not out to destroy a company. You know, I'm not out to sway anybody. If you like Gransfors Bruks and there is no other axe, that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. They are a beautiful axe. They're a good conversation piece. But to spend $200 on something that just isn't worth $200. Never was. These were one of the cheapest axes you could buy. You know, now it's the most expensive. Go figure. Everybody wants them, and because everybody wants them, they are a very small company in a small town in Sweden. Their quality control sucks anymore. They can't keep up. And when you buy one of these axes, they give you the axe book with a list of all the people they have in that building making these. And as far as the forge guys go, they can't keep up with the orders. You go on Amazon and type in Gransfors Bruks, and there's hundreds of them on there. It's like, how do they make all these? You know? So, obviously, things are going to slip. You know? Like, I won't call that their fault. That was me. I was trying to split a big round, jamming this thing through just to prove a point. You know? And it was like, it broke. Any axe would have broke, you know, especially when it comes, well, they call this a forest axe. I always call it a boy's axe, you know. These two, pretty much identical. The Gransfors is a little bit longer, but regardless, I still call it a boy's axe. A lot of people probably tear me up over calling it the wrong thing, but whatever. My biggest concern with these is, I don't know what the European market's like for them, but I know the American market. Anybody who's into axes knows Gransfors Bruks. And the problem is, America and Sweden are in two totally geographical locations. You know, where I'm at, Sweden's on the other side of the world. And because of that, Sweden, I've never been to Sweden. So, I mean, let me know if I'm wrong. You know, I'm just going off what, basically a theory. I think Sweden has different trees than America. I believe they have softer trees. Now, this axe and this axe are both the same metal. I don't know what the European market goes on, but breaking it down, this is between 1050 and 1060 steel. This for sure is a 1060 steel axe. I can prove that too, that the metals are damn near identical. I have a center punch. And we're going to punch the hardened edge. See if I can get this to focus. Actually, we'll do one better. Sorry, I'm shaking you. I got you set up on my tool drawers. All right. Let me find that mark. There it is. Okay. I circled the mark. You see it? Now we'll do the Gransfors. Right on the hardened edge. And circle the mark. One phone focus in. The phone's not focusing, come on. Ah. The light catches it just right. I'm gonna keep messing with this until it works. Let's see. Here we go. See if some extra light helps. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. This is driving me nuts now. I can't get that one to reflect. Oh, there it is. Alright, so you can see they pretty much I just need to catch the light right. Okay. There's one. There's two. So you can see the hardnesses are about the same. It leaves a mark. I can actually feel the Gransfors Bruks. Here. Let me shut this thing off here. Hear that? It actually dented that. I've actually never had that happen on this. That's new. Let me see if the console does. Now the console, the grind goes out this way, so I'm going to have to pull back. Nothing there. You could just hear my finger rubbing against it. This one here, let me see. We'll go this way too. That actually did leave an edge. You can hear it. Hear that? I can grab that with my finger. This one here. No edge. Just hear my nail against the steel. That's interesting, because I've done this a bunch of times to the Gransfors Bruks, because every axe I buy, I do consider this a standard when it comes to the quality of steel. But this time around, the steel's actually inferior, and they should be about the same. That's very interesting. Do you think I should call Gransfors Bruks and see if they'll send me out a new one? I'm not even going to do that to them. But that is actually good that happened. The problem I found with Gransfors, When you go on their website, it just says the finest Swedish steel. Well, what is Swedish steel? You know? I know they say American steel, you know, but American steel does have grades. You go on Council Tools website, 1060 steel. You know this is going to be hard. You can see the mark on the pole I made. That one there. See? You can hear that. That's because the pole's softer. But this, when you go on their website, it's 1060 steel. It's the same steel between 1060 and 1080. That's the standard for like railroad wheels, you know. That's hard ass steel. The finest Swedish steel. This is another issue I have. I just always assumed, based on the punch test, that Gransfors was at least 1060 steel. I just always assumed that. Obviously it's not, but where I was getting at though, sorry I'm kind of jumping around, this is just baffling me right now. I gotta wonder what Gransfors is hiding. Because like I said, when you go on their website, it says the finest Swedish steel. And everybody always takes for granted Swedish steel is the best steel. It's super hard. I question that because Gransfors Bruks, they're highly environmentally conscious. Thing is they used recycled steel. Now to me, they're taking crushed up Chinese and Japanese cars and making axe heads out of them. Now, we all know what Chinese steel is like. If you go to Harbor Freight and buy an axe, I don't even have to explain how horrible the metal is and how soft. Like I said, you got to wonder what they're hiding. They should have some kind of standard that they go by as a company, you know, to keep their axe heads uniform down the whole line, you know. Not so much the way they're made, you know, because no two of these are the same. But the quality of steel they use should be, regardless. You know, to me, that shows one batch of steel is going to be different from another batch. Somebody that has one of these, I guarantee you, if I bought another one, I'd probably do that test. It might not make a dent, you know. It might be that hard where you don't even see a punch mark. Like I said, to me, these axes just aren't worth $200. You could buy a $60 axe and actually it'll perform better. Like I said, I think I totally skipped this over. I apologize. Back to like geographical locations. I don't think the trees are as hard as they are, or I'm sorry, I don't think the trees in Sweden are as hard as they are here in the States. We have ash, we have hickory, we have cherry, the list goes on. And what it comes down to is they're hardwoods, hickory and ash. That's what they make axe handles out of. And if the Swedish trees were of any kind of respectable hardness, they wouldn't be using American hickory handles. Just making you think there. You know? I don't think these axes are designed to perform over here. You know, certain jobs, yeah, it's a great little axe. But if you want to actually, like, process, you know, be it limbing, felling, splitting, to me, any axe should split. A lot of people say you don't split wood with these. Well, I use this one for splitting a lot. That's why the handle came loose. That's why this broke. Like I said, I was splitting, but it was a huge round. Like I said, I was trying to prove a point to my buddy, you know, that this axe is capable of splitting a log that big. And it split it, but the handle was loose. So I just hammered another wedge in and called it a day. I'm not going to rehandle an axe if I can tighten the one that's on there up, you know. It's not that I'm not capable. It's just a time-consuming thing. And I really like this handle, you know. This was one of the first handles I customized. And honestly, I love it. It got a beautiful wood grain. You know. It doesn't get much better than this. Where the $60 axe, that's why this one's so dark. If you look, it's got so much run out, it's almost sickening. But hey, it hasn't broke yet. When it does, then I'll worry about it. That test, though, that just baffles me. You can actually get your nail on it. You know? For this one, like, I'm pushing as hard as I can. You just hear the nail running down the edge. Yeah, I could actually feel that with my finger. Yeah. That's crazy. Huh. One thing I will say about the people that did buy these, they do make a great first axe. A lot of people be like, oh, your first axe, don't spend all kinds of money on it. All you're going to do is break it, fuck it up, blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you what, you go out and buy yourself a good axe, it teaches you to make a cheap axe perform. Because when you take one of these out of the box, that razor sharp edge is enough to where if you pick up another axe, like one of these out of the box, like, yeah, they are in serviceable working order. But a lot of people would take one of these out of the box and be like, oh, that edge is nice and sharp, you know? Like, it would cut yourself. First thing I did, I put this in the vise and I put a good edge on it. You know? It's like, that edge does not reflect any light. The only part that does is right here, and that's because I chipped it. And I'm not going to go to the trouble over a chip. I took the edge out and filed it and resharpened it. Over time, that chip will go away on its own. You know, that's the way this one was. There's a chipper right there. You know? You can see it reflecting light, but the edge doesn't. And like I said, if it wasn't for having this, I would have thought this one was just awesome. When I got out of the box, it's like, this thing sucks, you know, resharpen it. that's where I can say buying an expensive axe is your first axe. It is a good thing to do. You just got to be careful with it, you know? But like I said, I would not recommend this to anybody that's actually going to use it. You know, for the bushcraft guys, I could see it being a fantastic axe. This one can do so many different jobs. This one, I'm limited. This is a good axe for carrying with a saw. You know, it's perfect. It's the right length. It's not a hatchet. I can actually cut a sizable limb. You know, there is times when you're in a lot of brush that it's dangerous to use a chainsaw. You're better off using an axe for some stuff. But for somebody that wants to buy a good axe, be it if they're in the field, I would highly, highly not recommend one of these. Like I said, I feel they're over